Welcome to 𝐸𝐡𝐞 𝐃𝐚𝐲 podcast, Episode 3, The Day She Met a Cyclop. Here's your host, Oribel Joy Divine.
Hello everyone. Thank you so much for listening in to this podcast. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are on this beautiful blue planet. It's been many months, too many, since my last podcast. I've been busy creating new workshops and also rethinking about what it is that I want to showcase in these podcasts going forward. I feel it's important for you, my audience, to understand why I created this podcast in the first place. I have a strong desire to help people become familiar with extraterrestrial or ETs and to begin to accept their existence. Yes, they exist. There is no denying. There are many civilizations across the universe. From my recent conversation with the Pleiadian star mothers, they told me that there are 1,356,662 civilizations in the universe, and that number will grow with time. We cannot bury our heads in the sand any longer. This is the time for us to explore and discover who our neighbors are. Many of them have experienced what we are currently experiencing, the shift from third density to fourth density consciousness. And they can show us to some extent what our future looks like by how they are currently living on their planets. They are far more advanced than humanity. They live in peace and harmony, and there are no wars, no taxes to pay, no rental, no water and electricity bills to pay. They have freedom, and they travel to other planets to be in service and for collaboration with other civilizations. And that is the reason I created 𝐸𝐡𝐞 𝐃𝐚𝐲 the workshop 2 years ago. It is to help others who are ready to explore by reaching out to communicate directly with ETs. And that's also the reason why I've renamed my podcast 𝐸𝐡𝐞 𝐃𝐚𝐲 the podcast. It is to help you discover galactic races and listen to real experiences and stories from human explorers like myself and my clients whom I guide in my workshops. To me, there are two options. We can wait for our first physical contact with an ET race to come visit us. That's one. And the other option is we can make the first move by visiting other planets, meeting an ET race, be introduced to their family, asking questions to know more about their civilization and how they live. And we do this in consciousness, in our etheric bodies. I think it is far more exciting to be the one to reach out first, because we can take action now. And there's a deep purpose for many of my clients to want to reach out to certain ET races, as it is their calling to begin collaborating with these ET races to create, enhance, and expand their spiritual work to bring in new energies, new ideas, new creations, and new consciousness to our planet in whatever craft or specialty they are in. That is the reason why I'm so passionate about teaching others to communicate with our galactic family so they can take the next step on their journey and begin a new chapter in fulfilling their divine plan. With that said, in today's episode, I would like to share with you the experience of one of my clients, Kim, who did just that. I want to share with you the day Kim met a Cyclop. Kim is from New Zealand, and she works with children in exciting ways. She teaches them about energy, how to be safe and protected, and how to work with angels and archangels. It all began several months ago when she reached out to me. She wanted to connect with the Pleiadian star mothers, as she was guided to do this. so she signed up for my 𝐸𝐡𝐞 𝐃𝐚𝐲 private tutorial. In the 2 days I spent with her on Zoom, she connected and communicated with several ET races, namely the Pleiadian star mothers, the Cyclops, and the Arcturians. And she visited a planet and got on board a mothership. Her 2-day experience was mind-blowing. Let me begin sharing with you Kim's experience with the ET race, the Cyclops. It was day 2 of the workshop, and I asked Kim which ET race would she like to meet and visit their planet to find out more about the way they live. She decided it would be the Cyclops. The Cyclops come from planet 555. Let me describe to you their appearance. They have a humanoid form. Their head is slightly elongated. Instead of having a pair of eyes, they only have one eye above their nose. The eye is about 8 to 10 times bigger than a normal human eye. I will share a sketch of a male Cyclop in this video. You will see it on your screen right about now. Through my guidance, Kim tuned in to the frequency of the Cyclop rays. All this time, her eyes were closed so she could remain focused on her journey of exploration without distraction. Using her intuition and telepathy, which she learned on day 1, she was able to connect with a Cyclop entity. Kim introduced herself and asked the Cyclop if she could have a chat with him, as she is new to meeting ETs and she is interested to learn about them, and would very much like to visit their planet. Using her intuition, Kim was able to pick up that the Cyclop was a male. In response to her request, the entity bowed his head as indication that he agrees to her request. Before I continue, I want you to understand that I was guiding her throughout her entire journey, and she described to me everything that she saw, heard, and felt, so I could be in a better position to guide her on what to ask and how to best respond to the entity. So let me continue with her experience. Kim was sharing with me that she could see his entire body. His head was disproportionate in size to his thin body. The head was quite broad, and he appeared to Kim together with his family. He had 2 children with him, and he was holding hands with each child, and they were standing slightly behind him, as if he was protecting them. The young children were a replica of him, but appeared smaller build, as human children are compared to adults. When Kim asked him if she should use her own portal, or would he prefer that he create a portal for her to visit his home planet, he replied that she could use her own portal, so I guided Kim to create one. And it was interesting as the entity decided to walk with Kim through the portal, and immediately the Cyclop was at her side, and he held her hand, and one of the children moved over to hold hands with his sibling, and together all 4 of them walked through the portal. Kim described to me that when she was on the other side of the portal, she found herself on his planet. The first thing she noticed was that the atmosphere was cold, and the ground felt quite soft and spongy when she walked. The entity explained to her that it was a form of gravity, so they are in contact with the ground as they move. The entity, still holding Kim's hand, decided to take her to a community place that's more central rather than to take her to his residence. It was a place of sacredness and a place for community meet-up. The entity was still holding her hand as if to let the others know that she was his guest. And the other Cyclop entities were coming out from the buildings to take a closer look at what's happening, and they seemed to be families, not individual beings, that were stepping out of the buildings. Kim felt that they do things together as a family, and there seemed to be great trust between them. And they trusted their friend, who was holding Kim's hand. And Kim felt that she was being scanned as she walked into that sacred place. Kim had the perception that there was a hierarchy on that planet. There is a group, like a council, of their own kind, that oversee everything for the citizens and who make decisions that is for the highest good of all. She also picked up that the Cyclop race is of fifth density and of fifth dimension, and the council is comprised of individuals of higher frequency. And the civilization is very much about working together, which tells me that they are of unity consciousness. And it appeared to Kim that they are happy to be in that state of unity. Unlike our current civilization on Earth, we haven't yet reached that same level of unity, not even the slightest. They have evolved to a high level of peace, and they do everything as a family unit. Kim was picking up all this through her intuition and also the frequency of harmony from the entities. She said that it felt really good. Next, Kim was shown their houses. They looked very small from the outside, but when you go inside, they are bigger, and the interior is very basic. However, she felt that they are living houses. Unlike on our planet, our houses have hard concrete walls, but with the Cyclops, their houses seem to have a consciousness of its own, as if it's connected to nature, but not the nature that we have on Earth. The Cyclop entity was not able to describe it in human words to Kim, but what she sensed from his transmission was that the houses are living and breathing, and their houses can adjust to their needs. There are no human words to describe other than symbiotic is the closest description that I can come up with. I may be wrong though. Kim continued observing the interior of the homes, and she said that the entities can create however they want the interior to appear. Some families like to cook together and eat together, so they have kitchens. And some houses don't have kitchens in them because they use the communal space instead. The families design their home interior using their consciousness. To me, that means they create through manifesting with such ease. There's no hard or heavy labor within their community. No one has to exert force or physical energy of any kind. It appeared to Kim that they are more family-oriented. So Kim asked the Cyclop, what do they do on a daily basis? He replied that some work in the kitchen, many do communal work, they meditate and create. They enjoy being in a space of creation through meditation. They consume not solid foods, but rather liquefied foods. The Cyclops took Kim back to the communal space, and she saw that there was a crowd following them, those who were interested in her visit on their planet. And there are no plants or animals. And because they can create, she was shown different areas of creation. She felt like she was entering a storybook with pictures. And she said it felt more natural. Then we asked about their children's education. The Cyclops have options when it comes to teaching children. Their parents could teach their own children, or they could gather together at a communal area as a group. The Cyclop explained to Kim that there are pockets of families across the planet, like soul families, who have chosen to come together and live together like the community or village that Kim was in. And these villages are not that big. Each village can create what they want to create. He was explaining that they can choose where they want to live, and they are also allowed to move to other villages, as they don't have to stay in one village all the time. They can move about to experience different creations of each community in different villages. And they move underground when they travel from place to place, as they can move very quickly that way. Kim next asked about his single eye. The Cyclop explained that it allows them the ability to create like a human's spiritual third eye, and they use it to also see around them like human eyes. When asked what's their connection to planet Earth, the Cyclops send information down to Earth to give us the idea that we can create through manifesting. They are all about manifesting. There are members from their civilization who are in contact with other planets and other ET races, and they bring to the table their specialty, which is manifesting and creating. And their other specialty is working together in unity. Their life is a lot easier and simpler, as they don't have to go to school, and their parents are happy to spend time to educate their children, and very quickly they'll learn to create things. And they don't spend many hours doing things like we do, as they can create them. They seem to have a lot of fun and a lot of freedom in the village. They tend to be together with their family members a lot of the time. And there's definitely interaction between adults and children. They laugh and joke and play games, old and new ones that they have created. And this is how they learn too. Instead of going to school to learn, they spend time in the community or with their families to learn how to create and have fun creating, like making up their own games. That is so cool. There is definitely a lot of flexibility. Up to this point, the Cyclop entity was transmitting mostly visuals to Kim and very few words. And amongst themselves, they communicate through thought forms, more so than verbal language. This part of her journey was interesting. I asked Kim for the Cyclops' name so that she can connect with him again by name in the future to continue her connection with him and grow their friendship. Apparently, it's not pronounceable by a human, so he asked Kim to create a name for him. And she said Ben. So he adopted the name Ben. So now we have a contact, Ben, the Cyclop. We asked Ben if he has any message for humanity that Kim could bring back to share with others, if he so wished. And this is his message for us. Don't limit how you see things. Don't limit how you do things. Don't limit your thoughts and what you want to create. Make them bigger. Don't limit what you think and what you do. Make it big. Think beyond what you think is possible. He said to keep trusting and keep that vision. It doesn't matter how big your dream is, just don't give up on it. You just keep looking at it and remembering that it is possible. Because the moment we think that it is not possible, we cut it off. So he said to keep envisioning it. He said to use those muscles. Keep believing, keep trusting, keep putting it out there, because there will come a time when it will be super quick. Because of the density on our planet, it's a little harder. But it is possible when we don't limit it and don't stop it, because it is going to get faster. So keep hold of that vision. Whatever our big dream is, don't let it go. Just trust in it. And that was the last bit of conversation between Ben and Kim. Ben walked Kim back to the portal, and they bowed to each other. He asked if she would like him to walk through the portal with her. She declined, saying that it wasn't necessary. Kim asked his permission, to communicate with him again, to which he said yes. He shared with Kim that they do receive visitors, but not a lot, and some came uninvited, without their permission, and their community don't like that. They find that quite rude. They prefer the way we did it, through a portal, because someone can meet the visitor and accompany them, and we asked for permission, which they liked. It is all about safety for their community, especially for the children who are free to run around in their village. And that ends the adventure for Kim in her first contact with Ben, the Cyclop. It was an amazing journey, and Kim and I enjoyed the experience, and we are both so grateful to Ben for taking the time and energy to freely answer all our questions we had for him. He was such a gracious and generous host to Kim during her visit. No doubt she'll be contacting with him again. Now, if you too would like to meet up with other ET racers like Kim did, it would be my pleasure to show and guide you on your first contact and explore the cosmos a bit. For a start, you need to be intuitive and trust in yourself. If you are currently already receiving guidance from your angels, guides, and higher self, you will definitely be able to communicate with an ET like Ben. I will share with you the protocol and other practices in our time together. If you live outside Singapore, I offer both one-to-one private tutorial and group tutorials if you have a minimum of 4 people from your country, and I hold the program on Zoom. If you live in Singapore, please check out my next workshop date, which is listed in the description box for this podcast. Until my next podcast, here's my wish for you. As you go through the rest of your day, lead with courage, with curiosity, and with compassion, both for yourself and others. I'm Oribel Joy Divine, the new Lemurian, signing out.